part of G4ia, presented by EB Games and Jeep.
Stay tuned. The Screensavers, next.
Tonight on the Screensavers, Leo and FCC Chairman Michael Powell tour the FCC facilities. Yoshi helps out modders with power problems. And frag yourselves a screensaver in today's UT2K4 LAN party. Live from the Tech TV studios in San Francisco, it's the Screensavers.
The Screensavers. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Kevin Rose. Thanks for joining us on the Screensavers, the only place to learn about the latest bleeding-edge technology and, of course, get the very best in computer help.
Without the sting.
That's right.
Yeah. Tonight we got a good show.
The rubbing alcohol.
It's not a great show. It's a good show today.
Good show. Why not a great show?
Well, I don't know. We mentioned like we all went to Washington, D.C. Tonight we're going to take you behind the scenes of the FCC, the Federal Communications.
This is cool.
Yeah, no.
They can pinpoint any illegal broadcast. Is that what we're showing today?
Chairman Michael Powell is going to be on the Tonight Show with Leo. And Sarah's got an amazing Windows tweak for you.
Yes. If you didn't believe me that Windows is fun to customize, you will after this tweak because it's foolproof. As long as you follow my directions specifically.
So even we can get it right?
Who? Kevin?
Us. No, us. I said we.
We. Yeah, you guys will get it right.
Even Kevin and I can.
If you
she's got
stop
some
bashing
hardcore
Windows for
Windows
2
tweaks.
seconds.
I've seen her articles, and they're like this sometimes. Like, change registry key 37B, and you're like, you mess something up, you're in trouble.
Deep trouble.
Well,
Deep trouble.
that's how women are. Follow the directions, and everything will be fine.
That's what she keeps telling me. I hear that every single
There's
day.
no printed directions. There's no help manual. There's no tech support.
That's right.
And today is Thursday, time for the
LAN
Screensavers
party. Powered by NVIDIA.
Joshua?
Yes, we're playing Unreal Tournament 2K4, the Assault map. Today we're playing, let's see, we got Junkyard right now that we're trying out, which has got some vehicles and stuff in it. Then we're trying out Mothership will be next. And all of these are Assault maps, so that means one team is defending and one team is attacking. And so then you'll switch after the other one makes it through. So today in seat number 1, we have the infamous Dan, Resistance's Futile Hewer, playing right there. He's got our Rackspace servers fired up and ready to go. Next to him, the Master Modder Yoshi. He's got some good stuff to show you later in the show also.
Yosh.
And then down here in seat number 3, one of our brand new interns, Mike. We thought, what a better way to break him in than put him in here and beat the crap out of him. So I'm going to sit down and play back to you guys.
What a life for an intern. Isn't that cool? Your first day, your job is to play in the LAN party and be on TV. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all downhill from here. Photocopying starts tomorrow. Let's start with the tech news that caught our eye today.
Sarah has the first story.
That's right. If you want the spiffy new 64-bit CPU, but you're afraid you'll have to leave behind all of your favorite 32-bit applications, fear not, my friends. Intel has announced that their future Xeons and Prescott-based CPUs will support the 32-bit programs you already know and love. That's good news.
Finally, they're saying some dates. They're saying when they're going to be releasing these chips. That's awesome news. And it's really cool that they copied AMD. They're taking AMD's extensions to create these. First time Intel has had to take something from AMD as far as extensions go.
It's so frightening thought that they actually copied.
That's cool, though.
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, they're actually using AMD's extensions for the 64-bit portion.
But it basically means one path for 64-bit operating systems. Most importantly, for all you Windows users out there, one path for Windows XP.
Yes.
Moving forward in
Which they
64-bit.
say after Service Pack 2 comes out in a few months, the next big thing from Microsoft is going to be the 64-bit edition of their Windows operating system. So that'll be cool.
Before Longhorn.
Before Longhorn, correct.
Now the only question is how
XP
long will it be before
64-bit.
64-bit applications.
Hopefully before Longhorn.
That would be nice.
Yes.
We can
That's
only
cool.
hope.
Good news,
Excellent
though.
news.
Next story. Kids really have it rough these days because the days of blaming your teacher for your poor grades may soon be over. Indiana education officials recently gathered students to take the first computer-graded written essay test. 18 other states are now also evaluating the auto-grading computer application. I don't know how this is going to work.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Where's
really
the joy
don't.
in being an English teacher if you don't have a stack of horrendously written essays to read through every night after school?
The kids are going to be trying to hack this, gain access so they can get better grades.
Can you imagine somebody like, producer Prager, right? Little David Prager is like the biggest scammer on the planet. He hasn't
David
paid a
Prager.
parking changing it in like 7 years.
It's true.
Can you imagine how angry he would be as a teenager?
I know.
He's going to look like, I can't get a B minus for this. This is a B plus. It's just not going to work.
I know.
How's he going to scan?
Well, I mean, think about the best technology we have right now is Microsoft Word, and it does a terrible job at proofing any grammar or anything like that.
I mean, they're getting better, right? But like years ago, somebody took one of the best grammar checking systems available, and they took a bus schedule, they took a fourth grader's essay, and they took an E.B. White essay, a really esteemed writer's essay. They fed them all through. The bus schedule was perfect. The fourth grader was given suggestions that improved the quality of the writing of the essay. E.B. White's, they made a bunch of suggestions for E.B. White's essay and made it unreadable. You know what I mean? So it's like, hopefully it's gotten better, but
we will see. They said there's
computer grading essays.
They said there's like 10 other states that are looking at this software as well. This is just a trial. This is not actually rolling out.
This is scary.
Yeah, we'll see.
We need some lit teachers in Indiana, I think.
That's right.
Good stuff, Sarah.
Thanks for the news.
You have yourselves a good show, gentlemen.
We will.
Thank you. Phil joins us on the phone from Palo Alto, California.
Hey, Phil.
Hey, Phil.
Hey guys, how are you?
We're doing pretty good.
How about yourself?
I'm awesome. I want to tell you guys I'm big fans of you and the show.
Why aren't you up here? You got to come. We're in San Francisco.
Well, come check it out. I even have my wife watching you guys every day. So.
Even better.
Excellent.
See, grab the wife, you see the show, you go to dinner, you get mad points, you get autographs, you get to see everybody.
Awesome.
Come on down.
I will.
Go ahead and set the phone down. We'll wait for you. Just kidding. What can we help you out with today?
Okay, I like to download programs off the internet. You know, you guys usually have different programs on, and you download them for free, try them out, and then delete them.
Right.
I've heard that if you install and uninstall a lot of programs, eventually your system might slow down because of some leftover files that are on there. Is that true?
I mean, when you say deleting them, right, you're doing the proper Windows uninstallation where you go into the control panel and you go to add remove programs and you try to remove the programs from here. You don't just delete the files from the program folder, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Just you do the Windows uninstall.
Are you running Windows X? Are you running Windows XP by chance, or is it like 95 or 98?
No, I'm running XP.
Because back in the 95, 98 days, this used to be a big problem, but with Windows XP, I really haven't seen that be such an issue.
Yeah, I mean, with some programs like, especially like Windows 3.1 and some later stuff, they used to be, and 95 was really bad for this.
INI files that would store information in rather than a registry. Or
they do stuff like they'd swap in a company, you'd load their application, and they would take a Windows DLL and they would swap their customized DLL in.
Right.
And if you took their application out, patch it got messy, right? And the whole idea is bit rot. If you add remove programs constantly, you should just give up after about 6 months and just do a fresh install of Windows.
That's what I always do. I always run into some kind of, if there's any problems whatsoever, I'll just start clean. Now, one thing that can happen, you may want to check out, is your disk can become fragmented.
Right.
And so you might want to, have you tried defragging your hard drive at all?
I can try, yeah.
So, do you know how to do that?
Yes,
Phil?
I do.
Okay.
Basically, a fragmented disk, what it means is that information is placed all over the disk, and the fastest way to read information off the disk is if it's nice and packed and pushed together in a sequence rather than spread apart the disk. And when a disk becomes fragmented, it has to jump to different places on the disk to read information, slowing down your system performance. So that may be something you want to try out first before you do the reformat.
Because I've actually seen systems make huge increases in performance, especially if you move a lot of data back and forth off the hard drive just by defragmenting it.
The Windows one is pretty nice. The only problem, though, is that a lot of the times it makes you reboot, and you actually have to run it in kind of like a non-Windows mode in order for it to complete the defragmentation. There's another program called Disk Keeper. Who makes that? Do you remember who makes the Disk Keeper?
Isn't it Disk Keeper?
Is it Disk Keeper? Maybe it is Disk Keeper. But it's a great program, and actually it's a lot more higher end than the one built into Windows, and they allow you to defrag right inside of Windows without restarting or anything. If you're doing a lot of back and forth and removing big programs, you may want to consider purchasing something like that.
Executive software.
Executive software, that's
What's that selling for now? $85. You know what? I'd say boot into safe mode and defragment there for nothing. But,
I'd say just get it up to ZOP, but that would be wrong. I didn't say that. I didn't say
you
that.
didn't.
No.
Promoting copyright theft is bad. What else can we do?
That's it.
That's it. Phil, good luck. And make sure, the other thing is run spyware checks.
Yes.
That's a really good thing.
A lot of that stuff behind the scenes can be slowing stuff down.
That would be bad. So good luck, Phil. Hopefully your system runs faster. We are just getting started. Customize your Save As dialog box with a simple tweet from Sarah. Then after the break, Leo gets a VIP tour of the FCC with Chairman Michael Powell. Very good stuff coming up after the break. Kevin wants to point something out. He made a little Kazaa download theft of software joke.
Yeah, it's a real quick Diskkeeper 8.0 trial. You can download it from executive.com, and it's a lot cheaper than we thought, too. It's actually, you can get
$29.95.
Yeah, home version. So it's great software. We've all used it in the past, and I've actually used it on some NT servers way back in the day.
Yeah.
Good app. Check it out.
There is a fabulous 30-day free trial. Now, a couple of weeks ago, Leo had a chance to go to the FCC in Washington, D.C. The chairman, Michael Powell, gave Leo and the screensavers a tour of what goes on in the Federal Communications Commission.
We're in Washington, D.C. at the home of the Federal Communications Commission. It looks like a normal office building, but there's lots of stuff going on inside. Let's take a look. Chairman Powell, it's good to see you.
Ready to have a good day?
Yeah.
You're going to need this.
Uh-oh, security?
That's right.
All right, let's go. I'd love to get a tour. What is this here?
Well, you are in the FCC's Communications and Crisis Center, and this is a location where we manage different situations when we have a problem on our hands, and these guys man 24 hours a day.
Wow. Normally, this is the kind of the core of what the FCC does, just monitoring the frequencies of the airwaves, making sure there's no interference, that kind of thing.
That's right. It's another big part of the mission. I'm going to come over here and introduce you to Jim Dale, who's running this operation.
Hey, Jim,
He'll
how are
give
you?
you a little overview.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. You're welcome. You're welcoming me. This is your home. How does this room leap into action?
Our primary responsibility is solving interference problems to assist, whether it's a local interference problem or something interfering with another federal agency. We have the capability and the assets to resolve those interference problems.
A typical serious situation is planes landing at LAX and are having their frequencies jammed by some form of interference. They'll often call us for assistance trying to locate that source.
Is there a big antenna on the roof? What exactly are you using to find these things?
We have a network of antennas spread around the continental United States and Alaska, Puerto Rico, and Hawaii that are all linked to this site here.
You have 14 receiving stations all over the country.
Right, and they're unstaffed.
And they're unstaffed. They're just automatic. So he's now triggering them.
And what is happening is the system is polling each of the receiving sites, and it is going to run for about a half a minute here to determine the source of the signal. And it has finished now, and you can see that the preponderance of the signals are coming just outside of Boulder, Colorado. And we
look at it, just pinpointed right on the map.
Right. Just that simple. We can pinpoint the signal.
What do you do if you're a cell phone company or a wireless internet service provider or a radio station and you need spectrum, you need bandwidth to do your business? Well, you come to the FCC and you participate in an auction for spectrum. Joining me right now, John Milletta. He's director of the Wireless Bureau at the FCC, and this is the war room. This is where the auctions happen.
Yes, it is.
How long have you been doing auctions?
We've been doing auctions since 1994, and what we've done since then is raised over $14.4 billion for the U.S. Treasury through the auction process. What we've developed is a very sophisticated, very technical solution, which is the auction process.
Is it like eBay?
Sort of like eBay with much bigger dollars involved per item. So what we've been able to do is put in a technical infrastructure with a data center, and we have it an auction-based system that's online, or you can use telephonic bidding and put in your bids. And what I'd like to do is now switch over to Craig Bomberger, who can explain to you all of the technical underpinnings behind our service.
Let's see it at work.
Okay.
Right. So, Craig, show us how this works.
Okay, well, first, this is a web-based system. Bidders need a card like this to log in. They have their ID.
This is an RSA security card.
Right, and it gives them a token code that changes every minute. They enter the token code plus their PIN on the software, and then that gets them into the login.
Do you check to make sure they got the bucks to back this up? I mean,
we require an upfront payment for each license, but there's not a specific requirement to check their financials.
Because I'd like to bid on some of these things, but I don't know if I can afford $22 million.
Right.
And this isn't a Dutch auction. This is a standard auction, ascending bids.
It's a simultaneous multiple round auction, so we have rounds that are a defined length of time, and what happens is bidders submit bids during the round. Once the round is over, we process the results and make all that information public.
So this is, for instance, a cell phone carrier who's looking to buy spectrum in California, New York, and Southern California.
Exactly.
That kind of thing.
And what they do is once they're in the system, they can look at the different licenses. I've actually already placed some bids here.
This is just a demo, but are these numbers I mean, this is the kind of numbers
these are realistic numbers.
20 million,
on the service.
30 million, 40 million?
Sure. The most expensive license that was ever auctioned, a license in New York, went for over $2 billion.
$2 billion?
Yes.
Well, that's why this has to work. That's why it has to be secure. Now, security is very important. I think we should go see the back-end operation.
Great.
The network operations. This is pretty amazing stuff. So now we're in the Network Operations Center. John Julie is Director of Technical Operations for the Auction Division. John, it's great to talk to you. Security is important here.
Very important.
Why so much security? What are you worried about?
There are billions of dollars that ride on these auctions, and people don't have a sense of humor when it comes to numbers like
that makes sense.
So we treat it appropriately.
Worried about industrial espionage too? People coming in saying, "I want to see what that other guy's bid was." That kind
exactly.
Of What's this map here? This looks like this colorful map.
This is showing who is accessing us or attempting to access these port scans.
So this is kind of hacker activity.
Exactly. Exactly.
What operating system are you using? These look like Windows machines, but these are the client machines, yeah?
Right. These are just monitoring the systems that are in the back. We use some Windows-based stuff, but the majority is Sun Solaris.
And the web server is running on Solaris as well? Right. Yeah, okay. So this is where it actually happens, right? This is the...
That's right. This is the FCC open meeting room. This is where the commission will actually sit once a month.
How much of the work of the FCC, though, really gets done in this room? I mean,
well, it's a good question because I think it is an important process when we sit here, but the vast majority of the work does not get done in this way. Right. We'll reserve these meetings sometimes for very high-profile items of great interest to the public, and we want to open it up.
You get a lot of people in here when you do that?
It's packed.
Yeah, once a month, huh?
Once a month.
I'm going to come to the next one. Well, thank you very much, Chairman Powell. It's really great to see what's going on inside the FCC.
Oh, it's been great.
You're doing a great job.
This has been terrific. Thank you.
I feel like the nation's airwaves are in good hands.
Well, we'll do our best.
All right.
We'll need this back before you go.
All right. Take care. See you later.
I want a beard like that IT guy. That IT guy had the best beard in the world. I want one just like that.
We all need our goals in life.
That's right.
Cool stuff. Don't miss our Washington, D.C. footage happening next week. I'll be at the National Transportation Safety Board. I'm going to show you how information is extracted and used to solve the black box mysteries. We want to thank Michael Powell and the folks at the FCC for letting us tour. That was very cool.
Awesome. Now, still to come, the LAN party is fired up. We're going to check and see how our TSS team is doing. And up next, customizing Windows is easy. So it's got a powerful tweak that put you back into control when the screensavers continue. Amelia joins us on the phone from San Francisco, California.
Hey, Amelia.
Hello.
How are you today?
Great.
How can we help you today?
Well, I'm converting some MP3 to WAV files, and I was wondering, is it possible to save them to a higher bit rate to make them sound better?
Sort of upsampling or upconverting. What are they saved at? Like 128 or 128 megabit?
Well, the problem here is that once they're converted down in the first place to an MP3, it's using something called lossy compression, which means that it compresses it down and it throws away all that extra information.
You'll never hear this thing, and that part of the snare drum, no, and you end up with less space taken up, but you literally end up with less of a sample of the original music that you were listening to.
And then when you convert it back, you still don't have that information that is missing, so even if you were to upsample, it's not going to sound any better because it's missing that information to begin with.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you go from an MP3 to a WAV format and then go back to another format of MP3, it may even sound worse because you're sort of, every time you
double compression,
resample it, it just gets kind of funnier and funnier. It tends to emphasize any flaws or defects in the codec that you're using. Is this stuff you downloaded, or do you have access to CDs with it, or?
A little of both.
Mm-hmm. If you have the CDs, I would just go straight back and re-rip and encode at whatever format you want to use. For the downloaded stuff, if it's not all downloads are illegal, Rayvon, because he's adding the sound effects. If it's downloaded stuff, you should probably see if the place you downloaded it from has them at a higher rate, or if you can get them from iTunes or one of the other online services.
If you want to keep completely uncompressed files, the Windows Media Player has an uncompressed codec that you can use. Also, iTunes now has an uncompressed codec where it's going to be complete.
Well, it's not uncompressed; it's lossless.
Lossless, right? So it compresses it, but it doesn't throw out any of the information, much like a zip file.
It's going to be
bigger
shrink it
down.
Than an MP3. It may not be playable on. What are you playing these files on, Amelia?
I go to different players usually. I've used it through iTunes and Music Match and Jet Audio.
But you're not actually Jet Audio. That's a new one. You're not putting it on a portable player.
No.
Okay, cool. As long as it's on your PC or your Mac or your Linux system, you should have no problem playing most of those formats.
Are you trying to burn it back to a CD so you can listen to it in the car or something?
Yeah, just to make a compilation.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is it's like the classic computer phrase, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out.
Right.
The less, the lower. And I'm not, trying to be mean, but it's like the, 128 doesn't sound bad on a set of headphones if you're jogging, and depending on the song. And then you sort of put it on a nice stereo and start to notice some of the problems, and you expand it back up to the waveform. It'll work. The PCM file, it'll work on a CD, and it starts to sound really funny. Best thing to do is see if you can either recompile those files, re-encode those files, or download them in a higher sample rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Amelia?
Thanks very much.
You're very welcome. Good
Thanks.
question.
Thanks for the call. Now here is the petite tipper with a Windows tweak.
That's right. Hello and welcome to this lovely edition of Windows World, the exciting theme park reserved for tweakers everywhere. Woo! I can't believe I wrote that. Let's tackle the Save As and Open dialog boxes today. This is fun and very helpful. Let me show you first what I'm talking about. Got a web page open, and let's say I wanted to save it as something. Obviously, on the left-hand column here, I have a bunch of shortcuts. They're designed, of course, to help me move to certain places to save my files of choice more easily, right? And they're very helpful. They're very obvious. Desktop, my documents, my computer. But what if you wanted to save it to something like Sarah's Finances folder or anything else? What if you have your computer customized very specifically? You really don't want any of these shortcuts. You want your own. You can do it. But it requires messing up your registry a little bit, so make sure you follow my directions specifically and always back up before you start. Let's go into the, I'll cancel out of here. Let's go into the registry editor. I have navigated to H key, current user, software, Microsoft, Windows, current version, policies. Don't worry, it's all in my article. Once you get to the policies key folder, you're going to want to enter and create a new key called COMDLG32, that's command dialog. Once you do that, I've already created that, but you won't see it by default. Once you do that in this command dialog 32, you want to make yet a new key called places bar. Okay? Once you've done that, check this out. I will go back into this folder, go into Save As. Now, as you can see, all my shortcuts have disappeared. By adding the places bar key, I have said I am starting from scratch. I am letting you know what I want in there. I don't want you to choose it for me. So that's cool. It's working so far. In the registry, at this point, I have 5, by the way, in the Save As dialog box, which also works for the Open dialog box, you have 5 placeholders. So I now have to make values called places 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, or just 1 or 2 if you only want 2, but you will have some dead space if you don't do 5. I'm going to go to new. I'm right-clicking over on the right-hand side, and I'm going to say I want a new string value. I'm going to call it place 1. Okay? And once I do that, I'm going to right-click again, choose modify, and I'm going to enter the path of my choice. I'm going to say C, Windows, Sarah's Finances. And I'll say OK. And then I'll go back and open up my Save As dialog box. And as you can see now, there's a little folder here called Sarah's Finances. And it looks just like any of the other folders. And of course, I click on it, and it'll take me into that area. So if I want to save a lot of files to Sarah's Finances at any given time, very easy to create that. There's another technique. This is a little bit different, just depending on the way that you want to do it, is if you choose new and choose D-word value. At this point, I'm going to call this place 2. By the way, place 1 will always be on top, so if you want to change the order, you got to change the names of your values here. Place 2, and I say modify, again by right-clicking, and I say number 27. I just happen to know that 27 is the shortcut for my pictures. And I go back into Save As, and as you can see now I have my pictures. That is another little shortcut that I've just created, and I click on it, and it's all working out well. The reason that I know that 27 is my picture is I have a whole list of shortcut number dealy-bobs here in my article. As you can see, desktop is 00, printers is 4. It just depends on how you want to do it. If you want to do it manual paths, you can. If you want to use the predefined numbers, you can do that too. All the steps can be found in my Windows Tweak article. It's a little involved, but it's all there at thescreensavers.com, and it's fun. I like taking charge. That's it. Back to you guys.
She is so hot when she does those registry tweaks.
Stop it!
More hotties and registry tweaks. Don't go anywhere. Leo stops by to show off an OS X Finder replacement for you. Not so hottie or registry.
No, not that.
After the break, see who's kicking whose butt in today's LAN party when the Screensavers continues.
Welcome back to the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Patrick Norton. Coming up in this half hour, Yoshi has some power supply tips you won't want to miss before building your next PC. Amazing mods. And we're going to explain to our next caller the differences between the Dell Jukebox and Apple's iPod.
Nice. And today is Thursday, so that means let's check in with our LAN party. Joshua?
That's right. We're playing Unreal Tournament 2004, the Assault map. Kevin, you have to check out this. This is one that has the spaceships.
Oh, Dan
and
was
the
telling me
vehicles.
about this.
Yeah, so this one is great because at first you have to blow up the shields on the outside, and then once you get through a certain amount of those, then you actually go board the ship and get it on foot and go through and fight the rest of the level.
It's like going in the Death Star almost.
It is. It's exactly like going in the Death Star.
That's cool.
Yeah. Now, seat number 1, of course, everybody knows the infamous Dan Resistance is Futile Heward right here. Now, Dan, our servers, we know there's a couple free spaces open, and you had a tip for some people. They might have problems getting in.
Yeah. In the server browser, what you need to do is make sure at the bottom left you want to uncheck standard servers only.
Okay.
Because I guess it's a non-standard server, so it's not showing up in the regular.
So if you're having problems getting in, make sure and do that. Next to him, we have Yoshi, the Mad Modder. Yoshi, what do you think of the spaceship? This is the first time we played this.
I like the spaceship. This is really cool.
I like Yoshi's a man of few words. He's concentrating on this game.
I'm trying to keep fun.
Spaceship's good. And then
good.
Mike,
Killing.
this is your first LAN party ever on the Screensavers. What do you think?
This is hard. Really hard. Very hard.
I think Yoshi and Mike must be picked from the same flock, from the same breed, because he too, LAN party good, game's fun. So
concentrate while you're killing.
It's very difficult. I'm going to sit back down and play. Kevin, try to come over and play.
Yes.
Here in a bit if you can. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Brentano. Right now, it's time to check in with Leo and get a quick tip.
Hey, Leo.
Hey there, the OS 10 Finder. You love it, right? It's a work of art, balancing power and elegance. And yet, if you're an advanced user, you might want something with a little more power. I got to thank Dan Hendricks, my buddy and the moderator of my radio station chat room, for telling me all about this from Cocotech. It's a Finder replacement for power users. It's called Pathfinder 3.21. You can try it free for 21 days. It'll be $34 to buy. You're going to want to buy it. I certainly did. Let me show you Pathfinder. First of all, I have the Finder running, but I'm going to quit right out of the Finder. I don't need the Finder anymore. That's the old Mac Finder. Everything you see on the desktop is now running under Pathfinder. It has the browser, much like the Macintosh Finder, but with so much more power. For instance, I can press this button over here. I'll see a list of volumes, also a list of processes. I can quit processes just by clicking an X right there, or I can switch to them by clicking on them. The trash can is back. It's on the desktop. I like that. We also have very powerful viewing features. In fact, it's got a text editor built in. It's got burning built in. You can even make disk images with this, plus a built-in FTP server. So I can actually very quickly and easily go to any of my websites and upload stuff just by drag and drop. But for power users, this is the pièce de résistance. The terminal is there right away. Look, I press the terminal door, and I have access to any folder that I'm in, and all the terminal commands acting on that folder right down there. See that? Isn't that beautiful? Cocotech's Pathfinder. If you're a Mac power user, you're going to like it. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Leo. Ladies and gentlemen, stay where you are. Our next caller wants the deets on the iPod from Apple versus the Jukebox from Dell. How they're different and how they're good or bad. But up next, Yoshi got some easy power supply mods you are not going to want to miss. Coming up when the Screensavers continues.
Let's check in with the fine folks over at Tech Live to see what's coming up tonight.
Hello.
Hey, Jesse, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you, Kev?
Doing pretty good. Chilling.
Good. Chilling.
Relaxing.
Like a villain. Right on.
That's
Okay,
right.
so tonight, the creators of Segway spent years and millions of dollars developing their favorite machine. Of course, we know this. And tonight on Tech Live, you'll meet the guy who created his own version of the Super Scooter for just $2,000. And oh, did we mention that he did it in 1 week? Yeah. We put it to the test tomorrow.
That's awesome. Does he have a kit for that and everything? Can you build one yourself if you want to?
Kevin, we go through this every time. You have to tune in tonight to learn.
Sorry, Jess.
It's okay.
Thanks, Jess. That's what's coming up on Tech Live right after this show. Now let's check in with P&Y to see what's going on. P&Y?
I'm just jamming on the whole Valley thing with Jesse there. It's kind of trippy. What are the problems?
Power. You're modding. You're going to be adding stuff. You're adding fans. You're adding water pumps. You're adding more hard drives. You're adding all kinds of stuff. Lights. Like this.
What happens if you add one more connector into this giant? Forget about the. Don't look at the lights. Look at the mess of cables next to the lights.
So I think I can find an open one here.
You're going to crash the power supply. I'm going to walk over here.
Power supply and.
You haven't even added a hard drive in yet. There we go.
Crash the power supply.
That's bad. You basically
That's real bad. It got a lot quieter though. You notice that fan noise is gone.
And I don't hear the humming in my IFE.
Basically, you have two options. Go out and buy a brand new power supply, which, these new 800-watt power supplies, might not be too bad, but you don't want to spend the money all the time.
They're not cheap.
I got like 3 or 4 power supplies sitting around home that are too low power to run my computer, but it'd be great for the fans
250-watt power supply will fire up a dozen.
So there's a couple things you can do. One, a nice relay to attach a slave power cylinder and kick it up. So basically what you're doing, and we'll go off of here, easy way to jump power supply is to take a green wire and jump it to ground. That turns it on. That's what the motherboard does. So what we'll do...
So that's the motherboard connector you have in your right hand.
That's the motherboard connector I have in my right hand. In my left hand, I have a relay.
Okay.
And we're going to take the 12-volt signal, and we're going to run power the relay with the 12-volt signal, and that's going to jump these two wires on your power supply.
So that way, when you power up your system, it'll power up not only the primary power supply, but the secondary power supply.
Exactly. And basically, in a relay, is a pretty simple operation here. Let's try to kind of hear
in
it.
In case you plugged it into a little Molex connector.
Yeah, I haven't. Oh, gosh, I'm really fumbling with thumbs on this one. But you can hear it. Basically,
cool.
It's a little physical switch. You can see it moving there. You can see the reads going back and forth.
Basically, it's a remotely controlled
It's a remote
switch.
controlled switch.
Okay.
Real easy, about $5. Mm-hmm. It should take you about total of 3 or 4 minutes to do.
Very cool.
Real simple.
How do you mount the second power supply in a case?
A lot of the times, like you see in this case here, what you'll do is you'll get rid of like one of the hard drive bays, or some of the server tower cases will actually have room for 2 already built in. So in which case, plug it in, you're ready to go.
Cool.
The other thing you want to do is like all this nice, neat wiring on these, more newer power supplies.
That's not the way
is
it came
a lot better than this stuff over here. This nice spaghetti mess we got going over here. We don't like that. That's ugly.
The spaghetti mess is bad.
Any modder
but
that
neatly
puts a
wrapped.
case together looking like that just isn't a modder.
Now, some power supplies actually come from the factory like
This is actually a factory power supply.
Okay.
So this is a new one. You can buy the sleeving and do it yourself.
Very cool.
Roll of like 16 foot of the sleeving costs you about $10.
And you just slide it over there
You
and
just
then
slide it over.
snug
You
it
end
down.
up having to pop the little pins out of the Molex connectors, slide it over, snug it down with some heat shrink tubing or a zip tie, put it back on.
Very cool.
But what I wanted to do is I didn't want any of the wires coming out of my power supply. So if you can see in this one, all we have coming out is the ATX.
The connector for the motherboard.
For the motherboard, that's it.
Very cool.
And what I did is I got some little panel mount connectors, and I wired up everything to go straight to the back there.
So these aren't factory Molex connectors.
No. These are just little pack. You can get them for like $5 for a pack of 2 or 3 sets, and then just wire them in. And you just got to cut a little slightly square hole out there, and they just click into place. And what I did is I actually just took the existing leads out of the power supply, snipped them short, long enough so I still had room to get over there, put my connectors on there, and now I have panel mounts. And the nice thing about that is, say you want 1 or 4 or 6 or 2 or 3.
So you custom made up all these cables.
Yeah, and you can make them the exact length you want. Now they just plug in place, and
very cool.
Easy as that.
Where do you get a sack of Molex connectors?
Well, if you're going to order them online, I'd recommend someplace like DigiKey. You can get them dirt cheap there. I got them at my local store for, I think, 20 cents each. I had to buy 50 pack, and then you, of course, have to buy a pack of the pins that go inside of it for
Those
10
are really
cents
scary
each.
looking. So I clamp one of those on a piece of wire, and then I stick it inside the Molex connector?
Yep. Exactly. I mean, you can go the route of getting the real nice crimpers that'll make the job real easy, so it'll take you about 2 or 3 minutes to do the whole thing. Or you can, use some little needle nose and do it manually by rolling the pins over. And
do I need a $45 set of wire crimpers, or will
No,
a
no.
nice regular electrician's wire crimper do it?
Well, you need the ones that'll do the real small connectors. If you're going to do anything on your car or anything like that, they all use the little teeny connectors. Go ahead and invest in one because it's going to be used. You're definitely going to use it. You need a soldering iron, of course, with a relay.
Now, there's a safety disclaimer. You'll notice that this is not plugged in.
No, this is not plugged in. You need to be very careful with power supplies because, well, you can kill yourself.
These things will hurt you. They're called capacitors. They store
Yeah,
charge.
well, and there's like, if this was plugged in, this would be bare wires where you can, if you touch that, you're going to, same thing as shoving a fork in the wall socket. Just
So
not too smart.
Practice good electrical safety.
Practice good electrical safety. You can always do the hand behind the back thing you were showing
Always a
your
plus.
electricians do.
Yeah,
Test
be careful when you're working on
Test
this.
touch it.
And make sure the power supply has been drained.
Definitely make sure the power supply has been trained. You can cross it with a screwdriver to ground to help that out.
So out of curiosity, a fully modded power supply, what's this cost?
Like sites like Frozen CPU, they sell them modded, not with the modular on the back, but they'll just have the pigtails sticking out that you can plug them into. They cost about $50 more than the standard power supply.
And how much did this cost you to make?
About $7 or $8.
We like that, ladies and gentlemen. Yoshi, as always, good stuff. If you want to learn more, well, we got the details, all the quick mods over at thescreensavers.com. Yoshi's got a great article. Right now, Sarah has a great tip for you.
I do. The Task Manager in XP, of course, is useful to see what applications, services, and processes you're running on your PC right now. But you can also use it to see what other simultaneous users of your PC are running. Press Control-Alt-Delete to bring up the Task Manager. Make sure the Processes tab is checked. You can see everything that's running. But down here at the bottom, we've got a little box that says Show Processes from Other Users. Just check it, and you're good to go. Coming up after the break, we'll tell our next caller, John, how the features on Dell's Jukebox compare to the iPod. Coming up right after these messages.
Be sure sure to catch tomorrow's show.
It's a special all-call Friday edition of the Screensavers, so get your tech questions ready and call us an hour before the show. That's all coming up on tomorrow's fine blended edition of the Screensavers.
Excellent. John joins us on the phone from Janesville, Wisconsin. Hey, John.
Hey.
You a big Green Bay Packers fan?
Sort of.
Sort of?
Just enough to not get, beat on in the schoolyard. Other than that, you don't care?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I'm excited. This is the year. Favre's back. Anyway.
Football
what can we help you out with?
Yeah, I was wondering, what really is the difference between a Dell Jukebox and an iPod?
Well, the Dell Jukebox is less expensive for the same capacity, right? You're going to spend about $100 less. I think it's like the iPod started at $299 and the Dell Jukebox
is this for the 15 gig? Is that what they're?
For the 15 gig.
15 gig, okay.
Yeah, actually, if you take a look, right, the iPod, they've got the big chrome back case, they've got the white, and they have the really nice slider there. It's got no moving parts inside of there. They cost $299 for 15 gigabytes, and 40 gigabytes gets it up to $499. They're nice. The battery life is not our favorite thing about them. Wow, look at that. I just managed to kill a browser window. Can you imagine that? A big giant screen of white space. The Dell ones cost less. They have a thumb wheel instead of that big round switch on there.
Get lucky on this one, can you?
I killed Dell.
Is it coming up?
I'm powerful.
So 15 gigs.
Yeah, sorry, I had a moment there. Anyhow, the interfaces are similar. They're both fairly easy to use. They both have good audio quality. They both pretty much need a new set of headphones.
The Dell does not work with the Apple Music Store, of course. Only the Apple iPod will.
And you'll have to convert any WMA files that have digital rights management are not going to work on the iPod. However, if they're not digitally rights, if they don't have DRM, if you didn't pay to download them, you'll be able to transfer them.
John, do you have a girlfriend?
No.
No? Because the iPod definitely gets the ladies. So you might want to consider that when taking it to school.
Is that how you got Sarah? Was the fact that you're getting her an iPod?
Indeed, it was just that.
Sarah, do you want to give us a verification on this?
What's the question?
iPod versus Dell Jukebox.
What are you reading right now? Look at what Sarah's reading. She's wearing like an Us Weekly.
You know what? This is coming. This is the tip. You've ruined it now.
Oh, sorry.
This is my tip. It's all research. Us Weekly is not fun to read.
That's a great issue.
At all. Move along, gentlemen. Move along.
She's like, whatever. Back to my Us Weekly.
Wow.
So John.
They're both good players. Are you worried about, are you thinking about buying one or the other, John?
I was thinking about buying the Jukebox, but I was trying to wonder before I buy it, I was wondering what one would be better and what one would store more music on it.
Well, they both have the same hard drive capacity,
Right.
John. You can buy a 15 gigabyte on either one of them. How much individual songs you can fit on there depends on how much you compress them, which is the option you have. Either look at the amount of music you already have in your hard drive, or you look at your pile of CDs and you decide how compressed you want to make them. The biggest difference between the two is whether or not you want to be able to use the iTunes Music Store versus pretty much every other music store on the planet. That's probably the biggest difference, John.
So you're going to have to decide whether or not, if you don't go online, you don't plan on buying any music online, then it really doesn't matter that much, I would think.
No.
I mean,
if you own your CDs and you plan on making your MP3s from your CDs, you're good on either one of them. If you've already downloaded 14 zillion MP3s, you just want to put them on a portable player, both of them are good. If you want to spend less money, Dell's the way to go. If you want to get the chicks with the white panel, Kevin assures us.
I don't want to get any chicks, but I'm trying to help John out.
Right. I take that one with a grain of salt, John. I think they're both pretty good.
Thanks for the call, John. Now let's check in with Sarah for one more quick tip.
Now, the reason I was reading Us Weekly was because I was going to say that sometimes you just have to have that centerfold of Brad Pitt on your PC, right? And one of the best ways to do is scan it. Although I would assume for the majority of you, it's probably Angelina Jolie that you would be interested in. Fair enough. Once you want to scan it, Patrick Norton has written a very lovely article on how to scan your image like a real pro. So go to thescreensavers.com/show notes for tips on how to hone your scanning skills with histograms, unsharpening, even the proper way to archive. You see, this is all research. It's research. Us Weekly is horrible. Now stay where you are. Next up, we're going to check our inbox to see what's on your mind when the Screensavers continue.
Crazy. They're excited, crazy audience today. They're nuts.
They're all buying iPods. They got the secret now.
That's right. Should write a book on that. Let's take a look at our high scores from each round of our LAN party powered by NVIDIA today. Anybody from the TSS? Joshua, look at that, 35 kills.
Brentano is back.
Yeah, it was rigged. It was rigged.
See, I never know if that's the truth or not, because they're the ones that put the high scores in.
Well, Fu just said.
It's been legitimately
It's
on that
rigged.
list once, Kevin. I think we plug the numbers in for you every time.
Yeah, his.
Oh, look at that. Mr. Frosty. I got highlights. I'm all mad.
Congratulations to everyone involved.
Thanks to our intern for playing in there first time.
And if you didn't get to play this week, go to the website right now and register for next Thursday for the Screensavers LAN party.
That's right. It's that time. Sarah, do you have any emails?
You're so cold as ice today. Poor Joshua. I almost feel sorry for him.
Feel bad for Joshua.
You know that he can hear us. He just wants to pretend
That's
like
right.
he's not listening. Okay, you ready for some emails?
Kevin, there's a reason she feels bad for me and not for you.
How about some tech questions,
I don't
Sarah?
even get that.
I don't either.
All right.
Email questions.
Jarrett wants to know, I'm building an entrance-level computer for my girlfriend. I was wondering if Windows 98, since that's already what's on her hard drive, has any hardware caps. I'm sticking a new N-Force 2 chipset, motherboard, Radeon 9200, AMD 2400, Sony 52X burner. He says, Pat, I know that you're already going to say upgrade to XP. He says, and I will, but for the time being, is this going to work?
It's funny how people are putting disclaimers in their emails. They're worried you're going to go off them. They're like, Pat, calm down. Calm down before you say anything.
No, the only thing I'd double check is whether or not the N-Force 2, I have no idea off the top of my head whether or not the N-Force 2 has 98 drivers.
Has 98 drivers for it? That's a good question. I mean, just go to NVIDIA.com. I'm sure we can find out within seconds.
Yeah, and that's actually what you should do when you're buying new hardware for your system, especially now as Windows 98's getting a little older. Some companies are going to not want to write drivers for it, so double check that there is Windows 98 drivers for that motherboard. Everything else.
And if you're getting that motherboard, upgrade to XP. That's what I'm saying. I said it. Pat didn't.
Yeah.
That's it for this edition of the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
Oh, I guess it's not. I guess
have time for another question?
I thought you said say goodbye.
There's your comedy. The new guy's our line producer. Give him a break.
That's right. We got a new guy.
Yeah, actually, can we get a round of applause for Scott Michelle?
Yes, our new line producer.
Full day in the line producing chair. Scary place to be. It means he's responsible for all of this working. So props to Scott.
I love how you're like, that's it, and he's like, no.
I know, he's like, hey.
We got time for one quick question.
PJ wants to know what's the difference between an access point and a wireless router.
Well, access point basically is just an Ethernet that expands your Ethernet network wirelessly, but it has no ability to communicate with your cable modem or DSL modem or anything like that.
Wireless router gives you extra ports in the back so you can switch your traffic.
Other than that, I mean, they both allow you to attach wirelessly. By the way, you know what the other difference between the Dell and the iPod is?
Quickly, 20 seconds.
40 gigabytes is the maximum on the iPod. 20 is the biggest one they have for the Dell.
That's it. This is the Screensavers. I'm Kevin Rose.
I'm Patrick Norton. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to thank our guest chairman of the FCC, Michael Powell. We'll see you next time. Great.
There's only one award show for gamers, G4ia, where wondrous celebs, heavenly bands, and gaming's biggest awards come together in a paradise for players. Check out this year's nominees in The Road to G4ia.